Good morning and welcome to the AM show. You were waiting for me to go, huh? This is the best breakfast show on the block, and Benjamin can't wait to just tell you about his proverb today. So,
what makes you think that? It's not like I'm just waiting to spew my proverb.
Yeah.
But you know the new name for the show?
Tell me.
It's the Sweetie and Benjamin show.
Oh, I like that.
It's our show.
Yes.
It's our show. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I love your outfit this morning. You're looking
you.
all African with a dash of... Wait, is that a belt?
No, it's not.
It's part of, like, frills for the dress.
Yeah, it's part of the...
Thankfully today, when I decided to go this way, I was hoping you wouldn't do anything orange. So it's okay. It's okay. I see you with your blue and whatever.
It's okay.
I chose to be
Tomorrow, I hope
like an orange
you don't
today.
get back to... Yeah, you look good. Who's been sewing for you?
This one is from a different outfit. It may be from Catherine Garments, if I remember correctly.
Right. Benjamin.
But yes, we're going to serve you our proverbs this morning. She may be stuck. I am confessing on her behalf. She may. But let's see whether she'll be able to redeem herself. For mine, I'll share this with you. Inso ta ponchenia oje wo. Inso eta ponchenia oje den wo. In other words, aponcheni the frog. So if you keep doing certain things that someone finds uncool and you keep up, the person may keep boiling, simmering to the point where there's an overflow. Inso no eta ponchenia oje wo. Our politicians could learn from that because they keep doing certain things to the people, and someday the people might just get fed up and kick you out. Kick you out through the right channels. And it also applies to animals. Have you noticed how if you pester animals enough, even the most patient, for example, I've seen donkeys, some of the most docile animals on the planet, attack their owners for whipping them too hard or mistreating them.
Yeah.
So even pets, what did you want to do? At some points, they either give you a paw or something. So that's it.
So I
It's same
must
with us.
confess that I didn't originally have a problem. But, because
But now you do.
Yeah, you just gave me an idea. I'm just going to explain the meaning of my name, Abochi. Abochi is a stool name. The extended version is Abochi Mahamivia. Which means that even if you're gulping water down with speed, it can choke you.
It can choke you.
So don't think that it's as soft as water and so you can easily gulp it down. So don't underestimate me.
I guess it also points to patience, right?
Yes.
Be patient with whatever you do.
Yes, with whatever you do.
You should watch some people eat. You would think the food,
So
food will get finished.
Honestly, do not think that the people, the citizens, can be fun food all the time. Because one day, just like you said, we might revolt against you and we will choke.
Someday you'll choke.
Yes.
You'll gag.
That's
Anyway.
how we're welcoming you to the midweek edition of the Benjamin and Sweetie show, huh?
Yeah.
I like that.
Whichever way, Sweetie and Benjamin
like
and
that.
Sweetie.
Yeah.
We come and do the do. But anyway, stay with us. Up next, she'll be serving you the news. And right after that, the news review, courtesy of political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies, Dr. Kwame Asasante.
And then we'll get into AM Sports. You know, Mufta Nabil, of course, will be here to bring you all the latest updates in the world of sports.
After that, we get into our big stories. And first on the bill, government is set to launch the Ghana Apprenticeship Program. And there's a training program initiated by the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, COTVET, as we call them. And it's implemented by, guess what? District-level coordinators of the Ghana Education Service in close partnership with craft-specific trade associations. We'll bring you details of that later on the show.
Also coming up, we've got a conversation on lithium and its exploration in Ghana. Remember the lithium deal? Well, is there a way governments can maximize this mineral and its benefits? Our guest will be Dr. Stephen Blessinaka, who is Executive Director of Ghana Gold Expo. He'll be joining us later on the show to get into the nitty-gritties of lithium.
Well, I'm especially interested in that conversation about how we deal with our lithium. We've dealt with gold, diamonds. How about lithium? What are we going to do with it? Stay tuned for that. But then later, we'll host the National Commission for Civic Education. It is developing a compact for Ghana's political and economic transformation. Together with a center, the African Center for Economic Transformation, the NCCE will undertake citizens' engagements around the country. We'll be hosting Kathleen Addy. She'll be telling us a lot more about that later on the show.
And on Citizens Microphone today, doctors at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital say they will be embarking on an indefinite strike over what leadership describes as harassment and persistent orders to move out of their Danyame residences in Kumasi. So Joy News is reliably informed that many of these doctors have received notices asking asking them to move out of the official bungalows because they have been sold out. More later on the show.
Now, if you do that, where do the doctors reside and how do they deliver healthcare, especially considering the state of the Komfo-Anokye
And the very
teaching
essence
hospital?
of bungalows is so they can live near the hospitals and, diligently do their duty.
Yeah. So we'll be getting into that. Now, 92% of women-led businesses in Ghana have never exported. That's according to a report. We'll be bringing you some details of that as well. Stay with us. We'll be back on the AM show.
This is the AM News on the AM Show. Let's begin with the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, where Doctors Association have declared an indefinite strike following what they describe as forceful ejection from the hospital's accommodation. Consultants and specialist doctors occupying the facilities in Danyame Enclave say they are facing threats from a private developer seeking to eject them after serving a one-week notice. The association says the strike is to demand the government's swift intervention. Nana Boache Yadom reports.
Medical doctors at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital say they are embarking on an indefinite strike for what leaders describe as harassment and persistent orders to move out of their Danyame residence in Kumasi. The doctors on Tuesday concluded on the industrial action to demand the installation of their bungalows despite claims that it has been sold out. Dr. Michael Leet is the president of the KATH Doctors Association. He explains the frustration of the affected doctors.
Some doctors in the Danyame residence are supposed to be evicted. I mean, this has been ongoing for about a year now. And as an association, we suggested some measures to management, but we see this to be beyond our hospital management, in that, I mean, they are not the owners of the land per se. So some of our doctors have been given an eviction. They've been given notice to evict their accommodation units within a week. Some have had their water supply cut off. Some have been walled in. According to him, the doctors at the hospital will lay down their tools to seek access to their accommodation. We have close to about 20-something doctors plus other staff of the Komfo-Anokye and other doctors from other hospitals. So we thought it wise that if you are being evicted, then we meet and decide as a group what the next step. And what came out, the unanimous decision was to lay down our tools tomorrow by 6 a.m. and then go and look for accommodation. Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah says the allegation of ejection are untrue. He wants the affected doctors to provide evidence to support their claims.
If I hear somebody say that we've given him 1 week to vacate his bungalow or something, they should produce the letter so that we know the author of that letter. Whoever wrote that letter to me, we want to know. And also, we've had an agreement with the contractor that before they move anybody, they have to rent a place for the person period of 2 years, by which time we will be sure we will be done with the structures we are putting up. And they should produce the letter that is giving them an ultimatum of 1 week. They should provide that letter to me. And we've said that no developer should move anybody without a rented alternative accommodation.
The minister indicated the government is constructing bungalows to accommodate several doctors within the region.
Originally, we decided to do 200, but now we've reduced it to 180 because we are sure that the 180 will be enough for all those that we are going to relocate. And location is one site, that is one contractor's site. And here we have more than 30 structures. As you can see, all of them are above 80% complete. Only few will be around maybe 75.
For Joe News, now watch Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Now, the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, has dismissed claims that the country is facing a power crisis. He says the current situation is a temporary supply challenge which they're working to fix. He also insists the NPP government has managed the power sector in the country despite the debt inherited. There's more in the following report.
Despite mounting concerns over persistent power outages in certain parts of the country, sparking fears of a return to the power crisis of the past, the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, reassures the public that such a situation is not imminent.
When it comes to electricity, we've been challenged for some time. Before His Excellency got into office, we faced the situation where we literally had 3 days of 1 day of half of electricity.
Is that what you call dumso?
That is the only Ghanaian.
That's the only Ghanaian word I know.
We moved from dumso, brother. We moved from dumso. We are at the situation called CC.
These remarks were made by the minister during the main edition of Africa Energy Technology Conference held in Accra. Dr. Opoku-Prempeh used the opportunity to raise concerns about the energy management and transition in Africa.
Even now that we are all aware of energy transition, we are still thinking about produce and export. Not produce and utilize in Africa. Not a single country in Africa think about Africa, that country that is in. So when you even go to their trade shows, their expo shows and things, it's always how much can we export? Check. It's called expo. Never use. So when
the concerns by the energy minister were amplified by one of the panel members and advocated a positive mindset towards leadership to make Africa better.
Until we come to the conclusion that leadership is a sacrifice and people are seen to be making sacrifices when they are in positions of authority, Africa will continue to be where it is.
The Africa Energy Technology Conference held in Accra highlighted Africa's potential as a key player in the global energy market. Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
In other stories, National Youth Organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Salam Mustafa, has stated that the party will win the 2024 general elections. Speaking at the party's Regional Youth and Tertiary Students Conference, Confederacy in Wa, he added that the party will pull all its arsenals together and campaign vigorously to ensure that the NDC and John Mahama do not come to power. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The New Patriotic Party Upper West Regional Youth Wing and Tertiary Students Confederacy First Conference brought together members from all 11 constituencies and tertiary institutions in the region. It was held on the theme Breaking Barriers to Break the AIDS. National Youth Organizer of the NPP, Mustafa Salam, enumerated projects and programs initiated by the NPP administration which have positively impacted on the lives of the people, comparing the record of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and that of former President John Mahama, the former, has outperformed him, stating that Ghana is not an experimental lab.
We have a better candidate with a better track record, with better integrity, with better credibility. He's incorruptible. He's much better and ahead of his opponent, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. A clean character, as against John Mahama, we all know that is what I claim of his corrupt status. So it is right to say that Ghanaians want a leader who would work their interest, not a leader that we have tried before and failed, who has gone home to sit and say that he has seen his mistakes and now he's coming to correct them. Hello, please. Ghana is not an experimental lab. This is serious business. We're talking about the lives of people. So it's serious. We don't want jokes.
Salam Mustafa disclosed that the NPP is bent on breaking the 8-year political cycle, hook or crook.
I confident. By hook or crook, we are going to win the elections in December. I'm telling you, I have no fear at all. By hook or crook, yes, we are going to win these elections. We are all out for it. We are going to campaign like we have never done before. I said it. That's why I'm extremely confident of our country. Nothing is going to stop it.
I was youth organizer of the MPP, Hamid Mahama Sana, noted that the conference serves as the beginning of the resolve to breaking the eight and third-party supporters to unite to achieve total victory.
As we embark on this journey together, let us embrace the spirit of collaboration, support one another, and work together collectively. I believe that each of you here possess the potential to make in your communities and beyond.
And Assistant Secretary to President Akufo-Addo, lawyer Hamida averred that the only person who could lead the country into prosperity and build on the good works of President Akufo-Addo is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and call on Ghanaians to vote massively for him to win the 2024 polls.
Behind me on the banner, I see breaking barriers to break the eight, to build the future together. It is possible. I see none other than my own big brother, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the man who is set to do what Ghana has never experienced before. We cannot trust the governance, the effective governance of this country for that matter, into any other hands but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So come December 7th, 2024, we must all endeavor and make sure that we vote for none other but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Send Ghana is worried about the emerging trend where cocoa farming is becoming unattractive to many young people. According to them, cocoa remains one of the essential foreign exchange earners for Ghana's economy. Senior Programs Officer at Send Ghana, Harriet Nuama Ajiman, who raised this concern, said it is worrying that the existing traditional farming methods are deterring the country's youth from cocoa farming.
Ghana's cocoa industry, long hailed as the backbone of the nation's economy, has been facing a major labor force challenge. Ghana's thriving tradition is losing its appeal to the youth due to a multitude of factors. Findings from the gender-responsive research by Send Ghana suggest that the youth do not have much interest in cocoa farming. According to the program's manager for Send Ghana, Harriet Nuama Ajiman, traditional farming techniques passed down through generations are proven to be a significant deterrent for young farmers.
You know, farming itself is not attractive to young people these days because we are still using our local implements. Farming is still rudimentary for most people, and people don't want to exert so much energy these days into farming. That is one. Two, when it comes to paying cocoa farmers for the work they have done, buying their beans, sometimes the payment is in arrears because the license buying companies must have enough money to take the cocoa and pay, and sometimes they don't have the money, you know, so they come to you, they take one bag, give you money for one bag, and you have probably 20 bags, and you need money to survive. So it doesn't really encourage the young people to produce the cocoa and keep it, and then the payment is done in pieces. You know, when you have money being paid in that manner, you are not able to really do much investments. And then the inputs, are not adequate as it should be. From another conversation we had with farmers, for instance, Cocoa Board will provide fertilizer, chemicals, and farmers will have to share the chemicals. And somebody said, well, they bring the chemicals and then we share it in tots. They will put a tot, you know, so you don't get the quantity that you really need for your farm. In that case, your basic need at that time is not even being met as a farmer, because if you need 10 bottles and you are giving only one, you have to go and buy the 9. And if you don't have the money to buy the 9, it means your cocoa trees will suffer. And so that does not really encourage most young people.
The research also identified a positive trend in resource distribution in cocoa growing communities, with a focus on benefiting women and children. Notably, revenues from cocoa are being reinvested in critical areas such as education, water, health, and agriculture across almost all communities.
From our assessment, we realized that, well, assemblies receive revenue and they also generate revenue, even though they don't really consider that to come from cocoa. A few thought that, well, their common fund has embedded in that revenue from cocoa, and then from their own internally generated fund, they get some money from the cocoa value chain, and that they have used to contribute to the development of public services in their localities. It's all about having a potable source of water, drinking water, because most of these communities have streams. That is wholesome. They are trying to get treated water to drink, and that is why water is on top of their chart as their most felt need, their basic need. And water is linked to health, and so once they address their water use, they are also addressing the health needs of the people. Once you are taking wholesome water, some diseases will be reduced or eliminated, and so it's very important they put their monies to that.
In light of these pressing concerns, organizations like Senona are sounding the alarm bells, urging policymakers and industry players to address the underlying issues facing the cocoa sector.
And that will be all for the AM News on the AM Show. Up next is the news review, and political scientist and director of a Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asa Asante, is our guest. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. It's time now for the news review, and it's brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And they say it's going to be the end to your chronic disease. But here's what they are offering for you. If you're a man, they're offering you prostate screening for free. Free. You won't pay anything. If you're a woman, they're offering you fertility screening as well for free. Just make your way to any of their branches here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review right here, and we're pleased to bring you. He is a political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He joins the conversation. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
Good to have you. Now, as always, I'm going to give you your 2 minutes or so. Share your thoughts on anything very pertinent that you'd like to share. Now, for me, I don't know whether this will serve as a guide. I know you have your own point, but for me, two things. The way we've organized the All-African Games and the sums of money, over 200 million that we claim to have spent on it. And I'm not talking cedis, I'm talking dollars, right? And the showing on the medal table. Then you also consider the fact that facilities, basic facilities that our athletes need, they didn't have. Some of them said they were getting these a day before their events. Someone was given a shoe size of 36 when the person dons 47. All kinds of chaotic stuff. So you ask yourself, was it the show of organizing the event or building our athletes to dignify our country? So that is one. The other bit is Dumso. It's becoming very erratic. Recently, I listened to Samuel Dubik Mahama, the managing director of the electricity company of Ghana. And you can feel his pain, but there are also things being hidden. And it's not just to do with ECG, because they are just, distributors. They are down the chain. The production of electricity, the lack of funding, the lack of fuel to turn the turbines and all of that. All of those are in there. People are saying, give us a schedule, give us a timetable, because right now it's practically Dumso, but the term is being avoided like the plague. These are two things on my mind, but what is on your mind?
Yeah, I think I share your concerns, but I'll depart a little to the sub-region and look at an equally disturbing issue, and I'll go to Nigeria.
Right.
I am not happy about the events in northern Nigeria.
Oh, the kidnapping?
Yes.
The 300 or so.
Yes, and it's the latest. And if you look at the fact that you are talking about kids who people have come pick them and taken them to where we have no idea. A few years ago, you and I witnessed what happened in Chibok, the Chibok girls, and the rest of them. It is a big worry that these are people who are going to be leaders of Nigeria one day, and people are now taking them, have a field day, taking them, go and hide them, and do all manner of things to them. What are they living in the minds of those children? The pain is going to be indelible. It's going to create all manner of psychological problems for these young people who have been abducted. I am so surprised that the Nigerian government is sitting down for this thing to happen. Nigeria is the fourth best armed forces. They have the fourth of the best armed forces in Africa. It is about the 35th in the international system. They have all the military power. Nigeria Army has engaged in all manner of operations, difficult ones, and they have emerged as what great soldiers and all that. I'm not sure this is out of their reach. And if everybody will go against Nigeria Army, I support them because I know the army and what they stand for and what they can do.
But maybe the question, Doc, is the political will there?
That is what I'm coming to. That what is preventing Nigeria government for supporting this great army to defeat these people once and for all? I am so surprised. It is not the army. I must say, it should be a problem with government. And that shows the weak capacity of the government to resource its military and then let them work the way they ought to work. Because I believe if Nigeria Army is giving all that they need, I can tell you in no time they will root out these criminals from the system. It's so worrying. And my fear is that, if this thing is not kept, it's likely to have effect in neighboring countries and then the sub-region and all that. And I believe, and I will urge Nigerian government, that they should do everything within its power to be able to support Nigerian army and then root out these criminals from the system. It's very, very unfortunate. It's not safe to be in that place. But where do the people go? Their own land. They are there. They are not at peace. All right. We vote government into office to take care of our lives and our property, and we will obey. Obedience to the state is compulsory simply because of the social contract that government will protect us and we will obey. All right. If this thing breaks down, where do we go? It's unfortunate. Nigeria government should do the needful.
All right. They have to sit up, most definitely. And it always breaks my heart when these things happen because, like you said, there's that, as students of politics, we know, there's that social contract where historically people have ceded their power to a certain nucleus of people to manage affairs. And on the other hand, they also are given certain responsibilities and rules and regulations they must abide by. But if that social contract is broken, and look at Africa, that is why some people would even point to the 1992 Constitution and say that in there, you are supposed to guarantee our livelihoods, even economically speaking. We must have jobs to do and all of that. It may be a stretch taking it to court, right? But it is there. You must safeguard the economic, privileges of the people. But government in and out and country here and there, they fail to do that. Sometimes you ask yourself, so what do you do in the end? Because I don't, like you mentioned, the Chibok girls, that situation. And the sad thing, they would usually take girls, a lot of them, and you know what happens? They end up raping a lot of them, indoctrinating them. They become wives too early, and these are young girls, teens.
They brought some of the
others.
girls with babies, babies.
Yes.
With babies. Very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. And that's my fear. Because as a journalist and somebody who has worked for, International Club of Children's Rights, I believe that this is a call to duty. I must speak on this matter.
Thank you so much for sharing your passionate thoughts about that. Let's get into the papers now. The Ghanaian Times, they say they are the most authoritative newspaper. Nkwanta communal conflict. Lay down arms, engage in dialogue. OT Regional Minister Designate appeals to feuding factions. Then there's Telecel brand officially launched in Ghana. Vodafone is becoming Telecel. And then NDC government will investigate land looting in Ga-Adangbe area. Ex-President Mahama says so. As for the land and the buildings that have been sold, those ones, time and again, only God knows. President opens maiden Africa Energy Technology Confab in Accra. And there's, in sports, Ministry of Youth and Sports dismisses claims over late arrival of equipment. Oh, sir. So our athletes are lying. That's what you're saying. I'll get into that story shortly. I find it difficult that the athletes will lie just so when they failed in their disciplines or something of the sort. Accra Lions aim to deepen Kotoko's woes. And Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Krobia Kumasi Asante Kotoko, my team, yes. They are in their quest to bounce back from last weekend's defeat to Kerala United, will face off with in-form Accra Lions in their Week 21 Bet Power Ghana Premier League fixture at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium today in Kumasi. And it remains to be seen whether Asante Kotoko will be able to deliver. But let me get to this story. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, has dismissed claims by some members of the team that is going to at the ongoing African Games that they did not receive equipment and kits for their respective events. He was responding to claims by a section of cyclists and badminton players that they were affected by the lack of equipment to train adequately for them to compete. Now, at a press conference organized by the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the local organizing committee in collaboration with Team Ghana Federation heads, Mr. Yusuf stated that the complaints of the athletes were untrue. We requested from the various federations the type of equipment they needed for the games. When they submitted the list, we went through with them before procuring and delivering to them. In some cases, we chased the athletes for their sizes, and it took forever to get these requests for them. There are timelines to meet to get these gear and equipment down to Ghana. So sometimes the challenges don't come from the sports ministry or the LOC. Furthermore, some of these federations take the items and instead of giving them to the athletes, they take it and do not hand them over to the athletes. He said, this makes no sense to me. You are preparing your athletes. If someone is not abiding by what must be done and you know they are not going to perform, what do? Do you still go ahead and enlist them, knowing very well that they don't have what is right to go there? And this whole bit about some of the federations will take the stuff and not deliver to them. So what do you do as a sports ministry? We always want to find excuses like, and how about, Mr. Sports Minister, you organize the opening ceremony event and you are charging 150 cedis. Ordinary, stand, 150 cedis in this economy, when you could have made it practically free, at least for the opening ceremony. So you see how many people were in the stadium for the opening ceremony. Beautiful opening ceremony, but how many people were there? What picture does that paint? I mean, what thinking? But I'll have time for this in my blunt thoughts on Friday. It's one of the areas I'll tackle. Doc, I know you are passionate about sports. I feel there's a whole lot going wrong, going ill with our sports. What's your take?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate we are reading stories like this. The ministry should come clean on this. If there's a problem, let us know. If you have done something wrong, admit it and then correct it immediately. We move on. And going forward, let's plan well so that we can ensure value for money. We struggle to get resources, and this is an opportunity to showcase our country, our culture, and then our sports. So we can fail. I believe that we have to have this thing at the back of our minds and work at it. The ministry should come again and should come again.
Lay down arms, engage in dialogue. OT Regional Minister Designate appeals to feuding factions. So that story is supposed to be right. I thought it was page 3, but it's rather page 8. All right, so let's get there. Feuding factions on the communal conflict at Nkwanta in the Nkwanta South Municipality of the OT region have been called upon to lay down their arms and engage in dialogue to settle their differences amicably. Now, the OT Regional Minister Designate, Deputy Superintendent of Police, retired Daniel Machato, who made the call, said development of the region depended on peace as a prerequisite for progress, and therefore imperative that all chieftaincy disputes were addressed amicably for a conducive environment to spur development in the OT region, to spur on development. And so that's the story. And then Telecel, a leading telecommunications brand in Africa, has officially launched in Ghana to provide innovative telecommunications solutions to connect and empower customers and communities across the country. In February 2023, Telecel Group successfully completed the acquisition of 70% shares of Ghana Telecommunications Limited to become its majority shareholder, with the government of Ghana holding a minority share of 30%. So I guess that's the new kid on the block, though it's basically Vodafone transforming or transmogrifying into Telecel. Let me do this last story from page 7, and I'll come to you, Doc, for your reactions. So here we go. NDC government will investigate land looting in Gadangbe area. Ex-President Mahama says so. So the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress in the 2024 elections, John Dramani Mahama, has promised to investigate the looting of lands in Gadangbe when voted into power as president. Among other things, he said he would establish a commission of inquiry to look into lands that were given to the state for specific purposes but had been looted. Interacting with traditional leaders in the Greater Accra region as part of his Building Ghana tour, which started on Monday, he said his promise was in line with the law, which enjoins the government to give back lands which were no longer going to be used to serve the purpose for which they were given out. Those are the stories. Any quick reflections on them?
Yeah, I'll start with Nkwanta. It's unfortunate we are having such development. It's a terrain that I know very well, and it's unfortunate that you have, family members fighting among themselves, among the Chala and Achade groups, and some of them. It's very, very unfortunate. It's my hope and prayer that they'll come together, smoke peace pipe, and then restore the peace in that area. That place is a very beautiful place. You will love it, long distance, and the serene, beautiful. On top of this is a notable area for agriculture production. Large, hectares of yam grown there, and other farm products there. And it's also one of the best routes to the north. As soon as you cross the OT, you are in Bimbila, move away to Yendi, the rest of them. You take, Pasar area, then you are moving to the Kitikrachi area. That's a very active commercial area. So I pray that whatever there is the need to do, all those who matter, I'm talking about stakeholders, should put themselves together and make sure that there's peace in that area. I know also that the area also has potential for what tourism. If you go and see the land map, you see forest cover, you see even wildlife, amazing. So I pray that people will quicken the effort and make sure that they restore peace. And I'll plead with the leaders, the chiefs, that they should come together and then fight for peace and then restore that peaceful environment back so that people will live in peace. I'm told that people even attack people on their farms and all that. All these things are worrying situation. I plead with them. I plead with them that they should maintain peace. I will look at the issue of JM saying that when he's giving the mandate, he will look at Gandangbe land, which is being looted with impunity. It's unfortunate we have such development. All right. If you look at Gandangbe lands, the whole city rests on that. It is true that they have ceded some to the state by way of law and compensation. But look, I think that we are giving them a raw deal, that the little that is left with them, people are using all manner of means to take it away from them. It's unfortunate. Sometimes too, there is also a problem from the traditional authorities, some of them, who also do not appropriate these things properly, and it creates all manner of problems for the state. I am particularly worried about the situation where state officials connive with other people within the industry to sell state properties to themselves. Very, very, very unfortunate. If you acquire land and you are not using it, from the era of Professor Kasim Kasanga, we realize that it must be given back to the owners. Why are they delaying, and why are you, creating that problem? It is unfortunate. We must know that, look, the people of Ga and Gandangbe region have really supported the effort of this country a lot. Look at the land that we set on at UJ and other places and all that. They've supported this country a lot. So the little that is left for them, that is by law, must be given to them. We should not find ways of taking it away from them. And then one thing that also hurt me is Ben, do you know the reason why Cape Coast was the capital of Ghana, which was in Cape Coast, was moved to Accra? The main reason, or one of the reasons, let me put it that way, is because the place was so neat and it was so close to mountains, Ekwapim Ridge, which is also healthy. So they decided to move the state to here. Today, what do we find? We have destroyed this place. Most of the places is filthy and the rest of them. In spite of the president's own promise, we have not seen a thing relative to what we are seeing now. It is my hope and prayer that we would do all it's under our power to be able to restore Accra back to its original state and make sure that land that belong to Ghanaians, they have them, because it is the only property that they have. When they lose it, that is the end. I will support the call of JM and that if Ghanaians are able to give him the mandate, he should walk the talk and make sure that Ghanaians are not deprived of their means of livelihood. It's unfortunate. Maybe the last one I'll touch on is the Telecel Vodafone, changing color to Telecel. It's good. But I want to believe that we will still have the quality of service that we had under Vodafone, and that employment will also be guaranteed. We have a lot of youth who are parading our streets. They finish all manner of schools and they have no job. We want to urge them that direction is also important for us. So they must put in a lot of programs to absorb these people, train those who they need to train them and make use of them. And then we too also, as consumers of their product, we should be faithful to them. They cannot give up their best when we undermine the very industry that is going to feed us. So it takes two to tango. So we must also do our bit to make sure that this business survive in this country.
Let's do the Daily Guide newspaper now. Telecel officially launches in Ghana. We've already been into that. Election 2024, EC shoots down NDC drone operation. And then AG drops charges against Dr. Anemana in ambulance case. You remember that one, I'll get into it. And then there's also NLE boss elected ALA vice president. On the back page, some sporting news. Justice Blade begs Kotoko fans as they host Lions today. Dreams drawn against Stade Malien. Dreams FC have been drawn against Malian giants Stade Malien de Bamako in the quarterfinals of the 2023-2024 CAF Confederation Cup campaign. The draw for the knockout round of the competition was done on Tuesday, March 12, 2024 in Cairo in Egypt. Then, Napoli boss faces fine for pushing cameraman. And Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis could face a heavy fine from UEFA after he pushed a cameraman in an ongoing spat with Italian media. Some things you simply cannot do. But let's do this drone story. So here we go. A plan of the National Democratic Congress to deploy drones to monitor the December general elections has been shot down by the Electoral Commission. The NDC in the Greater Accra region had earlier announced that it would deploy drones during the upcoming general election. The regional chairman, Emmanuel Niashimo, who announced this, said the deployment of drones was part of efforts to secure 2 million votes for the party in this year's elections. Mr. Moore said the aim was to strengthen the NDC's monitoring systems to prevent potential rigging, adding that preparations were well underway to commence the training of constituency executives on how to use the drones to monitor ground activities. However, the EC has stressed that such a move would constitute an invasion of voters' electoral privacy and a breach of security protocols, and thus it will not be allowed. The EC's Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Sribo Kweku, responding to the strategy by the NDC on radio, said the EC had not received official notification from the party regarding the deployment of drones. And the final story. The Attorney General has dropped all charges against Dr. Sylvester Anemana, a former Chief Director at the Ministry of Health who was standing trial alongside Minority Leader Dr. Kasila Forson for causing financial loss to the state. Dr. Anemana was standing trial together with Dr. Forson and private businessman Richard Jakba for willfully causing financial loss of 2.37 million euros to the state through a contract to purchase 200 ambulances for the Ministry of Health, among other charges. This is a story, Doc, I know you are very familiar with. What is your take?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I've not been following the story.
The ambulance one?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that,
but you know the foundation of the story, right? It's been in the news for years.
Yes. But to be honest, I'm not seized with the facts of the matter and all that. So let me move on to look at the NDC drone affair.
Right.
I believe that a program of this nature, you need stakeholders in election to discuss this. It will not be out of place to table it at IPAC, look at it, you discuss. And if stakeholders believe that it is the way to go, why not? Because you see, in election, any attempt at doing something that will mar the process need to be forgotten.
Right.
So I believe that much as it's an innovation and all that, the stakeholders are important in this business. Look at it, of course, with inclusion of the security apparatus, looking at it whether it doesn't invade privacy, whether it affects the electoral process and all that.
Right.
Once you come out with a decision from this group of people and it's right, everybody will defend you at each time. So I believe that this must be tabled, discussed at the appropriate forum, and then let them find what solution to that.
So quickly on that, I agree with both sides. One, it shouldn't be close enough to determine who is voting for whom. That would invade privacy. But on the other hand, consider, for example, what happened in Yendi, right? Imagine we had drones. We probably would have known, because you can't have cameras on every situation. If we did, we probably would have known whether indeed there was a slap by the member of parliament for Yendi or whether the journalist was being untruthful. So there are both angles to look at.
Yes.
And where there are skirmishes,
why,
for example, what happened in Techiman South, where some people were unfortunately killed, maybe we could have better footage and know who did what. So there are different angles to the conversation.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that the stakeholders should look at it.
Right.
Because if it's a good thing, I am not sure that people will have the courage to shoot it down. But if it is not, they will also express concern about it. So it must be discussed. You can't throw it away just like that. It must be discussed, and then they find a better. Maybe you would like to operate no closer to where the polling is taking place and the rest of them. All these things will be part of the discussion, so that whatever comes out as what the decision be owned and protected by the people.
All right, so let's wrap with the next few stories. Bank of Ghana predicts 13 to 17% inflation by December 2024. That's in the middle spread of the paper, but the last few papers, and then we can go. I believe I'll just do the New Finder and the Ghanaian Publisher. So there's BDAC strengthens Ghana-India business relations, and there's school farms back government to support with partial grant, land development, seeds and fertilizer. You see this point. We pictured here is Dr. Brian Echampong. I have said this time and again, when we were in school, we were reading, we were farming, we were growing our own maize, yam, among other things. We were eating well. Okay, it was, even then when we were complaining about, beans, the oil and this and weevils and the rest, it's not like what we are seeing in our schools today. Why did we even stop this kind of system? And today, our school people, SHS, are going hungry. Let's not even pretend. They are hungry. If parents are sending 100 cedis per week just to supplement, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? You go for cocoa, there's no bread, there's no sugar. What is that? So it's high time we did this. And if we are going back, well, better late than never. And the Ghanaian Publisher, will Baumia also pick a woman? That's the question in there. Pictured there, Irene Toshi Adolate, Akosia Frema Osei, of course, the Chief of Staff, and then Ursula Owusu Ekofo. Those are the picks there. Those are the stories. Any quick reactions? We have a minute and then we go.
Yeah, you remember, Ben, I did suggest here on this network that we should bring back school farms. You recall?
No, we've had an agreement on that. I don't even know why we stopped that thing.
Yes, and I am happy they are going to do that, but they should walk the talk. Because, growing up as a child at the Kropon PTC Demonstration Junior Secondary School, we had farms. We had big farms, all right? Why can't you do the same? We can, if these things are managed well, you can produce to feed the students, and then you sell some to your neighbors or the neighboring or the communities, where you can raise IGF. They can even go into water production there. Produce water.
Look, Doc, you are into this. I'm even thinking some of the schools where the situation is right, maybe location and all, can go into aquaculture, even fish farming. They can do it.
Yes. I said that previously. I said you can start with you can add fish, that's tilapia, catfish, and then you can go to poultry.
Yeah.
And then depending on the suitability of the land, you can produce certain crops, certain other places you may not have, you exchange them, and then you supply other places. And you can generate IGF, support the school, tell government, don't bring money, let me run these things here, and then use the resources.
Just support us to do these things. And guess what? Especially the students who may be in agric, who may be interested in veterinary, whatever, or maybe animal husbandry. Maybe right from there, they acquire certain skills, and right from secondary school, even before getting to the tertiary level, they are able to do something for themselves. What would that do to unemployment? Because already they are gathering the skills. You can do all of that.
Even here, you can get people who will have even different areas of studies. They are science students and all that, but they will be engaged. I have a friend who went to Denmark to study.
Right.
And he was studying agriculture. And they taught him how to keep books, accounting books. Today, he's a chartered accountant. He's a Fifi Ham. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
That little, course that he took in Denmark today has developed to become the best for him and all that. We can start this. And I'm happy. And it should not be just a mere talk. They should support it and then make sure that it works. And that will be the game changer. We don't need to import anything and then bring toward the schools. We can feed ourselves by feeding on what we produce.
Right. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining the conversation. We are very grateful. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Thank you so much, Doc. Well, here we go. We're getting into sports up next, but this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Reach out to them at any of their branches. In Accra, at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji Estate, Tichiman Hanswa, and Esiama in Zima. If you'd like to give them a call, the numbers are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But sports is up next. Kotoko will be one of those on the radar. Will they be able to redeem themselves in that match today? Stay for sports.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. There were other events that happened, and one of those events was the fact that Abeku Jackson won a bronze medal for the country. That was the 5th medal Ghana has won so far in the ongoing African Games. He's been speaking about the medal that he won, and he also said that Ghanaian athletes have sacrificed so much to represent the country.
Excited for Team Ghana in swimming. I'm excited for all the athletes in swimming. I trained with them a week or two before the competition, and I know for sure every athlete here is training and giving their best. I know the for Team Ghana in swimming. I'm excited for all the athletes in swimming, because I got to train with them a week or two before the competition, and I know for sure every athlete here is training and giving their best. I know the sacrifices that every athlete, even without being in swimming, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's boxing, whether it's football, I know the sacrifices each athlete has to go through, and the discipline and the training and the toughness that comes with it, as long as and also the pressure. And I would like to say that every athlete in Ghana, I'm proud, be it what the result is, because I know how much effort he puts into it, and I'm just happy to be here to put it. Yeah, of course, the fans are important. For us, the fans are important, especially because the host nation. And just hearing the crowd shouting my name, even while swimming, hearing the crowd shouting my name, I know I'm getting closer to something and pushing forward. And the main goal is to hear the national anthem being played for Ghana and to stand on the podium and to know that you did your best for your country and raise the country's flag high. Yeah, for me, this is always a stepping stone. I mean, it's good to have competitions before the main Olympics. It's good to have African Games, World Championship. I recently just came back from World Championship. Before World Championship, I had a different competition. It's been back-to-back competitions, and it's the way forward, because the more competition, the more experience, the more you're getting into for the main goal Olympics and to qualify for the Olympics. I mean, like I said, it's a stepping stone. My first All-African Games was in Morocco. I managed to be in the finals, top 5, top 4. I was 5th and 4th in individual events, and now it's a stepping stone. Now I'm on the medal podium. Who knows what the next All-African Games would hold for me? But then again, it's exciting to be here. It's exciting to be in the host nation. It's exciting to hear the fans shout for you. It's exciting to hear everyone behind you and supporting my family, my friends, and I just want to say thank you. Not necessarily. For me, I still give my best, because be them being there or not there, for me, swimming my own race, and for me, it's to keep winning and keep winning. Be it whoever is there, it's just to swim your own race and give your best. It's always to drop my time. It's always to get into my personal best, drop my time, move forward, qualify for the Olympics, and make my nation proud. the next step for me is to go back to training, see what went wrong, be it medal, 2 medals, 3 medals. There's always something. There's always room for improvement. So I'm going to go back, improve, work on everything I can, and give my best.
Welcome back on the AM show. We get into our big stories, and we've got a conversation coming up on lithium and its exploration in Ghana. How can we maximize the benefits of same? What do we have to do? Well, we'll be bringing you details of that now as we engage our guest, Dr. Stephen Blessing Aka. He's Executive Director, Ghana Gold Expo. Dr. Aka, good morning. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm okay. I could be better, but I hope you're well too.
Yes, very well. Just that it's a bit cold here, but you're fine.
I see. Anyway, so let's get into this whole bit about lithium in Ghana. What is the state from where you sit? I mean, you've been in this exploration, mining exploration, gold and other things. The last time you came here, we were talking more about gold. But when you look at our lithium footprint in Ghana and the deals we've been striking so far with the lands minister has been touting, what picture do you see?
All right, thank you very much. Yes, I think we need to ratify the historic imbalance and empower Ghanaians to establish this lithium prospect that we have. We are very lucky to identify a lot of the pegmatite bodies in the central region, but we know that the authorization of the global spotlight energy system is set to drive huge increase in the requirement of critical minerals, and Ghana is lucky to be one of these countries that have these minerals. This means that a lot of sectors, such as the energy sector, the transport sector, is going to become, they are going to merge with the minerals market. Ghana is not far in terms of this lithium pegmatite bodies identified just from central region. And if you look at the central region, it's starting from Winneba down to Cape Coast, Sopon, Cape Coast, they are part of the areas that we have identified this. But there are certain things that we have to quickly look at it to make sure that the right thing is done so that we don't go back to the issues like the gold issue, issues that we've had in the past decade. If you look at the lithium, we are currently pushing and we are asking government that we need to establish the investment fund so that most of these domestic companies that have identified this resource will be able to go into exploration program so that we can maximize profit and also revenue. But what is happening is that we've not seen that yet, and we are currently asking the government that the government should quickly sit down to speak with the Minerals Income Investment Fund, because if you look at the duties or the right of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, they are supposed to, protect the royalties that we have in Ghana. And if these royalties comes, what are we using it for? We've seen some of the work that Minerals Income Investment Fund is doing, but the critical minerals is very crucial because some countries have decided that they are only going to explore by investing money into exploration. However, they are not going to mine the resource itself. So because it's more critical, because nobody knows what is going to happen in the future. So this is where we are coming in to speak to the government and also to the global front, especially because I am currently here meeting a lot of industry players to discuss some of these opportunities and also to drive in investment into Ghana. Thank you very much.
Let me ask you this very blunt question, especially looking at our experience with exploring other minerals, especially gold. Are we rushing this when it comes to lithium, looking at the deals? Because mind you, the 10% and others that are being bandied about may be slightly better, but other countries for different minerals, including lithium, are getting 30%, north of 40%, right here in Africa. So you ask yourself, if we are getting this and we are celebrating it, are we in a rush just because we are earning a few percentage points more? Are we rushing this?
So this is where it happens. There's something called exploration. As I mentioned, if you look at the deal that was first signed between Atlantic and the state, and also the local entity, and the local entity did not do much, because they just identified the concession and they didn't go into exploration. So the investor decided to pump more investment into the mine. And once you go into that, it means that at the end of the day, the government may earn 10%, 20%, 30%. And even with that, to me, I don't think in a way it makes sense, because other countries are rather doing more of equity, more than royalties. But I think if the government of Ghana decided to go for 10%, we can quickly revisit this and look at what was the issues, what actually happened. Because the first point is there's no exploration fund in Ghana for local companies to go into exploration so that they can bid for higher royalties. So 10% to me is a bit small. The government could have maybe go a bit beyond, but the basis of it is that both government and the local entity did not invest any money into the program. So of course, the investment company is always going to be that they spent much of the money. If you look at what Atlantic is saying, as Atlantic, according to them, have spent more than $100 million to this stage, even with that development. So this is where I think if we want to look at the prosperity and the security of our critical minerals, exploration is very key. Just yesterday, I received a call from Nigeria that the House of Representatives have passed the second bill to set up the Nigerian Minerals Development Bank. And this is what we are talking about. If you have a development bank, or at least you have a fund, then you can bid for equity and you can say, no, I want to do 50% or then investor 50. But in our case, it didn't happen. So as a media station also, as a stakeholder, in as much as we are looking at we fighting for a higher percentage, we also look at the issues that is currently happening in Ghana. We don't have any fund to explore any of this.
And it's good, Doc, that you make mention of this. It is good you make mention of it, because that's the other angle. There's a third angle I'll be bringing forth. But that's the other angle, because if you don't want to commit yourself to some of the exploration, it technically means that you're also going to be cut short, or you'll get the short end of the stick when it comes to when the mineral is being extracted and all of that. Which then, you mentioned a fund. Should we have some of those systems in place? Some would say that in some cases it makes economic sense. In other cases, it does not. We do not have the wherewithal. But if we keep up like this, we'll keep getting chicken change. And even in that situation, other jurisdictions are still not exploring, but they are saying, listen, if you're going to come and tap into the mineral blessings we have, this is what we're expecting. And they're able to get better deals. How do you respond to that? I do know of that side that says, you go ahead. Go ahead on that. Go ahead on that point. I'll come back.
Let me give you two simple examples. You have Canada. Canada just announced at their PDAC conference that they are going to invest $1.5 billion into exploration program. But let me tell you the advantage about Ghana. In spite of the $1.5 billion that Canada is invested, not into mining, not into the development of mine, into just exploration in terms of building capacity, research, coming up with the big data to be able to confirm all the resources. In spite of all this that Canada is trying to do, the advantage we have is that the logistics that we are going to, we have to put in place is less expensive than that of Canada. Where you identify these resources in Canada is far from the ports. Your lithium concessions is just around the corner in Cape Coast. With a simple jetty, you can easily export this to Takoradi Port, and you are straight to go with the concentrate. So what is making it difficult for government to say that, yes, I'm ready and I want to put in? We are not asking for 1 billion. You just have to put some, at least give a seed capital. And that is why I'm in Monaco at the moment. They are looking at alternative financing. People are looking at family offices, wealth management, equity fund. And most of these people, they will only come when they see that there's a fund available. You understand? The second thing is Australia. Australia is the biggest, producer of critical minerals. 51% of this sector is spending more than $2 billion into exploration, not also into the mine. They are just looking at what does the future state. Because look at, let me just, as you mentioned, the gold sector, small scale mining sector contributes, if well established, $3 billion per annum. It means the revenue that generated from the small scale sector in Ghana is way higher than the total revenue generated from the oil and gas. So if you have a sector, and you should also understand that doing small scale mining doesn't involve huge money. But you see, we are just becoming talkers. We are always talking. How can a Nigeria who doesn't know anything about mining just even go to parliament and state that, yes, they want to set up an agenda development, a mineral development bank? What are we doing? I mean, we have an issue with complaining about the royalties, but at the end of the day, government can only earn 10% because government did not put $1. MEF never put any money into any exploration program. And if you add the Ghana Geological Survey, the exploration program doesn't cost us 15 million. At least let the government do something. We have local companies that are ready to work hand in hand with the government so that these resources become not just an investment, but also a security for the country. India is one of the key countries that have lithium. They've decided at the G20 that they are only going to do exploration, however, they are not going to mine. Because if you look at the Paris Agreement, every country is trying to meet the demand of lithium production. Because Tesla, BMW, Mercedes are trying to go electric vehicle. So countries have decided that no, it's too early for us to go into the mining itself. Let's focus more on the exploration. And the moment you start doing exploration, the difference between lithium and gold, sometimes you have to extract, the resource before people see the value. But for lithium, once you do exploration and you have your confirmed resource, you have the pegmatite body identified, and you have you can prove it as a reserve. The country can use it as a way to raise money. We can raise money. Let me tell you, and I must also thank you very much for, 2 years ago, when we discussed about the alternative way of raising money, and we spoke about the domestic purchase program, which is an example like the good for oil. The reason why we didn't see Ghanaians rushing, queuing to go and look for money at the bank was because the domestic purchase program saved this nation.
Right.
We needed to take a risk. You understand? There will be challenges, but how long we are just looking for 3 billion from IMF, and with a confirmed pegmatite bodies, go and check from Atlantic Lithium, go and check from Akojumo, go and check from U2. These are local. We have more local companies. At least if I don't know, I know more than 2 that are doing something. They just need something small for the government to invest into them, 10 million, 5 million. And if you're able to confirm the resource, you can raise more than $1 billion. It means you're even creating FX for the country rather than just going for loan or this.
I get your point, but just to move the conversation forward, we have a few minutes more to go. Now, we do know the other side of the conversation I wanted to mention. Lithium is becoming the proliferation of lithium. Many more countries are finding lithium. And some have also said that if we don't go that way now, we have the resource, it may get to the point where in some coming years or decades, it may be at the lowest prices. So it makes sense to go into it now. But I'm asking you, how do we control the future of mining exploration or lithium exploration in Ghana to ensure that we are getting the greatest benefits? How, for example, do we bring in the citizenry to ensure that their participation is guaranteed and that they also benefit?
Thank you very much. Yes. I mean, pricing for lithium is currently not good because of the fluctuation. But I mean, we understand if you look at the equity and the stock exchange side, you understand that maybe it's a program that people have just decided to put in place so that people can buy more stock at the moment. On the case of Ghana, as I mentioned to you, the logistics to which we can have this reserve doesn't cost too much money. And at the same time, we have local companies that are already, I mean, they've identified these resources in their own means. To move to the next stage, what I think we should do is that the Minerals Commission and the Ministry of Lands, this go beyond them. They need to bring in the Ministry of Finance, they need to bring in the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Railway, and even the Ministry of Agriculture, because of the carbon credits and other things that is happening, to sit down to look at the alternative way of preserving this resource. The country may decide that no, we don't want to go into the mine at the moment, but we want to go into exploration. Then there can be some subsidies for these local companies. And these local companies will be able to go into a bit of the exploration. And once you get to a certain point, investors on either by equity or by loan will be able to come directly with these companies to have a merger or a joint venture. The government doesn't need to own too much of the percentage. I mean, that's something that is also misleading. The government have the 10% freehold, so this is okay. What happens is that the local companies here, these are private companies that are supposed to pay tax. They are not earning much percentage. If the government earns, let's say, 30%, and the local entity is making 2%, it still doesn't make sense. So what we are trying to say is that these local companies should be the one to own the majority stake. Then the government of Ghana collaborate with them so that they put a good policy, so they become more of a local content something. So I think this is what we need to do. But until we set up the fund and at the same time look at the pricing and the hedging, it will be difficult. This is going to be just like the gold that happened.
Moving on then, I would also like us to look at rules, transparency, and all of that, and how we can ensure, again, that not just these individuals and citizens, but communities. You look at mining communities and what they've been able to tap into as far as exploration is concerned. Some places you go to and it's woeful. How can we direct that?
Yes. So, I mean, I've had opportunity to visit Central Region many times, and you could see that the people don't even know anything about lithium. So the first thing is that you have a basic university in Takwa. We don't need to send so many people outside of Ghana, but we can begin to look at and training these communities, you understand? Because the beautiful thing about lithium is that you are not, after the concentrate, there are other byproducts that are available that we are even still going to use, like the feldspar, the kaolin. These are all a byproduct that will be used locally. But the community, if you listen to people in Winneba, people in Sopon, they are saying that they don't just need money. They are not interested in just building hospitals. They want the people to be trained. So in the next 20 years, they know that these are engineers that we have in Winneba, these engineers that we have in Southport, these engineers we have in Cape Coast.
Right.
So I think the government should quickly look at some of these programs. But as I'm saying, all this boils down to a fund. If you have a fund, then you can decide that, okay, in the next 2 years, I'm focusing on capacity building. If I have a fund, you can decide that in the next 3 years, I'm looking at maybe building roads.
Right.
Because you can see what clearly happened in the community. The community is great, but we need to find a way so that we can increase the level of capacity. We shouldn't wait for let's say, the mining company to start production before we said, oh, we don't have the capacity, we don't have the expertise. This is the time. Let's put at least 20% of the community back to school. Let them learn so that as time goes on, we have most of these engineers coming.
Doc, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. And let's see how all of this shapes our thinking and moving forward our policies when it comes to exploration of minerals, especially lithium. I was just joined by Dr. Stephen Blessing Aka. He's Executive Director at Ghana Gold Expo. Stay with us. We'll be back with more shortly. Welcome back on the AM show, and let's talk about some of the strides our government is making. Government is set to launch the Ghana Apprenticeship Program, GAP for short. Now, this is meant to be a transformative initiative with funding from the government of Ghana, the World Bank, and the German government through KfW Development Bank. Now, this program aims at supporting competency-based training, CBT. That is apprenticeship for a total of about 50,000 individuals throughout the period of implementation. But to give us more of a scope on what this means technically, by way of implementation, and what benefits we can derive from it, we have Dr. Fred Che Asamoah. He's Director General of CTVET. He joins the conversation. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
What's the sound of Chichino?
What's
the sound of glasses? We are in Ghana, man. Feel free. You're with me. I can't put a What's the sound of Chichino?
No.
I noticed he had changed his glasses. They look good on you.
Thank you.
Life kakra okay, nice. All right. I can be mischievous. Don't mind. Pay no mind to me. I'm just being. Let's talk about CTVET. The last time you came here, we had more conversations about what you had been up to. We had some pretty tough conversations on some angles, but I'd like to ask, even as we kickstart the conversation, what is the state of technical and vocational training today? For example, the last time we spoke about some equipment, machinery, and other things that had been provided. I still remember. What is the state of CTVET today? What are the latest developments?
The one significant achievement that we can talk about in the TVET sector, because it's a sector, it's not just one agency, is the fact that if you look at the enrollment in TVET institutions, it's jumped from 50,000 to 60,000. That means that more needs to be done as far as infrastructure is concerned. Government is bringing in more infrastructure, more equipment in the TVET sector, but more needs to be done because the good news is that Ghanaian youth have generated the interest to acquire skills, and that is what has to be focused on. I look at the system as it sits now. Let's take 100 students that are leaving junior secondary school. You have with the free secondary education policy, you have close to that 100%. It's not be. Let's assume we have say 95% going to secondary education.
Right.
That means there will be 5% that will be left somewhere, no matter the free secondary education that is put out there. And those that will go to free secondary education, some will go to grammar school, some will go to TVET. And after that, government is looking at having a gross tertiary enrollment ratio of 40%. So let's use that 40% as our discussion point. That means 40% of these young ones go to tertiary institution, will be left with that 60%. Some would have gone to TVET, so they might join the world of work. And those that go into tertiary too, some will come out, not all of them will be employed at the same time. So this is the perspective for which government is saying that I need to enhance apprenticeship training. So the 5% that dropped off from junior secondary school, where are they going? What are they doing? Now, the 60% that are not going to tertiary, not all of them are going to TVET institutions. So what are they doing? What kind of jobs are they doing? Those that are going to tertiary, And how many of them are going to professional programs? How many of them are being employed? And those that are not being employed, what are they doing? And all these that are falling through the cracks or not having some kind of job are very critical to the economy of the country. And government is saying that then we have to make sure all these people are either upskilled, reskilled, or skilled to be able to fall into one of the sectors. I enjoyed your earlier conversation that was talking about the mineral sector and lithium. And we realized everything came down to skilling the people to take over. And that is what the Ghana Apprenticeship Program is going to take care of. Because now we have free TVET that this year we have over 60,000 learners going to TVET schools. That one is free. So that's the mainstream. But subsequent to that, what happens to those that don't have any form of skill or any form of certification to be employed? They need to be trained. So the initial starting point, based on what we have done in the past, is what government has committed this amount of money to make sure that at least we start off with 50,000 as our first number. So following the 19,000 we trained in the past years. Then of course, it becomes a program, not a project. That project normally have a lifespan. 1, 2, 3 years is gone. But it becomes an apprenticeship system that this country has in place. And it's looking at both the job market, the gaps in the industry, what are the new areas we want to venture into. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. Some countries have already started the fifth. How do we make sure that people are linked to industries and well-trained to be able to support and take over, either support that industry or take over to become useful in that particular industry? In that case, unemployment will be taken care of, and at the same time, we also be looking at economic growth. That is for this reason why government has worked through all this process, is launching the Ghana Apprenticeship Program, and most of the lessons learned will be also utilized in the coming years. Remember, with the Ghana TVET voucher project that we implemented from 2018 up till 2023, over 19,000 apprentices, master craft persons were trained. Now, this year, we are launching into reviewing and studying how many of these 19,000 that went through the training are in employment or have traveled, and even if they've traveled, what kind of jobs are they doing, and how is it going to help the family back home? So these are the things that we have looked to make sure that comprehensively to also advance the next MPP government's project or its way of improving on employment and economic development. This apprenticeship program is being launched.
I'd like you to, and of course, I think you made a bit of a switcheroo there, project and program, because projects are usually the smaller one. A program is more long-term, bigger. But what would you say are the salient matters to take note of, specific objectives of the GAP, this program? What does it seek to achieve within the shortest possible time and moving forward? And I also take the question from this angle. Anything could happen politically. Anything could happen. It could be that the MPP is maintained in government. It could be that the MPP is booted out. Are these policies and the frameworks in place such that no matter what happens, they can be executed?
Yeah. So what we are looking at is not looking at only political terms. This country has to develop. And the president and the vice president thinks about what can help our young ones to be able to get employment for the long term and be comfortable. We want our young ones to stay in Ghana, and we can all help develop this nation. It's not easy going out there. Out there, it's not that smooth. But people go and struggle, they get jobs to do. It's because the industries are there. They started from somewhere with no industries, and now they've built them. We can also have our own young ones start small and medium-sized industry like Finland, and now they've built a lot of industry gradually. 20 years ago, they had the same medium and small-scale industry like we did. So the objective...
Some even cottage industries. Yes, now they've developed into...
Yes, look at Walmart. Walmart started as a family business, and now it's a big business. Amazon started as a small business. Now it's taking over the retail industry in the United States and even in the world. Probably even in Ghana, Amazon is selling to a lot of people. So we start from somewhere. So the basic objective is to make sure that the graduates that are either unemployed or graduates who are employed and want to change jobs, those who did not went through grammar education and they want to switch back to skill training, get the opportunity. All is because we want to focus on employment and supplying the skill that our local industry needs. The way it's been put together, I bet you no government will want to come and want to scrap apprenticeship program.
And that is the crucial part for me that I want you to get into, because we have a lot of programs that sometimes you would term innovative, good, positive, but the devil is in the detail. The devil is in the execution. And whether those policy frameworks are there so that no one, it matters not who is at the helm of affairs. They can pick up this document. They can pick up from where anyone has left off and continue from there. Whether you are retained, whether someone else is there. That is how our approach should be as a country. That's why I'm pinning on that.
The good news is that for the period that this government has been in place, all the things we've taken to Parliament, as far as TVET is concerned, we have enjoyed support from both sides of the aisle. And we in Ghana can, people in Germany can talk about the German apprentice system, the dual system. We in Ghana also need to have our own story. We cannot always be following different countries. You go to India, they have their own approach. You go to China, you have their own approach. China is training more people in TVET than grammar right now. So the Ghana apprenticeship program,
they're building them for industry.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
Yes, but the Ghana apprenticeship program is something that is going to become a household name years to come when we are even dead and gone. So that we in Ghana too can talk about the Ghana apprenticeship program that is permanent, supporting our industry, making sure that our young ones are skilled no matter what, from whether male or female, able or disabled. Everybody is given opportunity to have a shot at being skilled or acquiring skills to support the industry. So I don't think any government in any normal sense will come and want to scrap Ghana apprenticeship program.
I don't think I mentioned scrapping. It's more of an idea of being able to take off from where anyone has started. I mean, the best of programs or even projects are executed in such a way. Even let me use a very basic example. In construction, right? If you're doing the right things and following best practice, and you build to a certain level, and maybe there's some issue, and another contractor comes. If you're following best practices, the person should be able to take off from where you've left off and continue seamlessly, without any problems. Unless there are problems right from the start, where maybe there are foundational problems, and then that is why I'm saying that. But two quick things I want to run by you. So, what numbers are we looking at in phase 1, for example? How is it going to be phased, so and what numbers are we looking at?
In the short term, we are looking at 50,000 minimum.
50,000
minimum. And the funds that have been committed is over $60 million that has been committed. And you know, in TVET, what government has done very well that I'm proud of, before we come to talk about launching something, we would have put all the processes in place. As I'm talking to you, the Ghana apprenticeship program has different moving parts, but one of the critical parts is the financing. Okay, and we put a digital.
But since you started, let's go there.
Yes, we put a digital system in place. We call the voucher management system.
Okay.
That is able to capture digital information at the time of attending class or lectures. So it uses a facial recognition system, so it takes a picture. It doesn't matter whether you are shaved or you are in black or red. It uses facial recognition technology to capture your attendance and it feeds into the system. It generates the voucher, which is used to pay the provider. And the trainer is expected to spend 2 days in class, spend 3 days in the industry. With that, you'll be able to make sure that by the time people finish training, majority of them would have had jobs already. And for this, in the new improved form, we are moving from level 1 on the National TVET qualification framework to level 5. For the first phase, we were only focused on the first 2 levels, that is National Proficiency 1 and Proficiency 2. With the apprenticeship program coming into place, we looked at what is happening in other jurisdictions, and we moved it up to higher national diploma. So one can either acquire
HND. Right.
Yeah, the HND or Certificate 1 or Certificate 2 or National Proficiency 2 or Proficiency 1. So that is the new approach to make sure that the National Apprenticeship Program covers up to higher national diploma level. And the funding mechanism, government has taken facility from the World Bank through the Jobs and Skills Project, and $40 million is being channeled to that. Then we have 20 million euros with the counterpart funding from Government of Ghana, also taking care of the first 2 levels. So that is the amount of money that has already been committed to this. And as we move forward...
And how far will this sum of money take us? The $40 million and the
yes, so we're looking at a minimum of 50,000 learners or beneficiaries from this amount. Yeah.
I do know that you say one distinct feature about this Ghana apprenticeship program is the fact that it's roping in unemployed and underemployed people, tertiary graduates and others. Let's walk through those specifically you'll be targeting.
Okay, so one is for everybody. Even if you decide to go back to be skilled in plumbing.
Even I could go.
You could go back to, and so we are collaborating with National Service Secretariats across the country and Ghana Enterprise Agency, so that apart from you going through maybe your trade associations, you can go through National Service Secretariat or you can go through Ghana Enterprise Agency. And we are targeting graduates that are unemployed, graduates that will want to be re-employed. We are targeting secondary school graduates who have not been able to continue to tertiary and want to divert. We are targeting junior secondary school leavers who have not continued, and anybody that is willing to be trained. Because if you look at the Proficiency 1 level, it goes with both literacy and numeracy. So even if you don't know how to read or how to write and you want to add on literacy and numeracy, you have that opportunity to do that one as well.
And it's interesting because just a few days ago and yesterday I got something to assist in that regard. Someone who had graduated from SHS had 1 or 2 courses that the person had not been able to excel in, but for about 4 years, the person had been home. And luckily, some friends are assisting this person with a few things here and there and likely to get a job. But these are areas where such people could
apply,
could yes. actually feed into if we had them up and running. But let's look at, so eventually, who are going to be the trainers? Where are the training centers going to be? Are you going to have a trainer of trainer situation? Like, give us an idea. How is this going to pan out?
So we are trying to build on what we have achieved over the past 7 years. So first, we have developed what we call the competency-based training curriculum. And the good news is that government has supported us for us to print some training manuals. Okay. Then you have to have an accredited institution that will be part of the training. Not just anybody can start up. So our technical universities are part of it, our technical institutes are part of it, and we have private TVET providers who are also accredited to offer this competency-based training program. And it's being implemented across the whole country. When we started, we had some selected regions, but now and that was just for the project. Now that we have the program is being implemented across the entire country. We are encouraging more institutions to get accreditation so that we can have the spread. We increase the opportunity for all those who want to participate in the training. It cuts across. We have started with 10 trades right now: electrical and electronics, automotive, plumbing, catering and hospitality, fashion, cosmetology, mechatronics is part of it. And
I see.
Yeah, mechatronics is part of it. And robotics is part of it. IT, we have the different IT programs that are part of it. So you can, it's an opportunity for anybody who want to be retrained. And at time, unfortunately, countries are already on our doorstep trying to take our skilled people already. But we want to train.
They've been taking them for years. And
But now with the advancement they are seeing and the transformation we are seeing in TVET, it's becoming more and more official. A lot of them have been unofficial, but now it's gradually going to be official. So we want to encourage all young ones in Ghana to take advantage of the Ghana Apprenticeship Program and be trained to be able to have employment, improve on their life and that of their family, so that we can leave a good legacy for our future generation to come.
I want to quickly go back to funding, right? Something that I meant to ask. One, how sustainable is this funding, right? Now we're getting money from the World Bank, from the Germans.
But the World Bank money is Ghana money.
It is technically Ghana money, but you must come up with what will secure that money. It's like an IMF program. There are requirements to be met before those tranches will be released to you. How sustainable is this? And moving forward, even stepping aside or stepping away from World Bank or Bretton Woods institutions' money, right? Do we have plans of being able to take care of this on our own without needing some of these investments from outside?
I think everybody wants to put their money where their mouth is. And if it's working, the training is working, even other development partners have seen it's worth it to contribute. Definitely Ghana is ready to also realign resources, because you are talking about the minerals industry, and we've built one of the state-of-the-art jewelry and pedry workshop in Pechi number 2. More are coming on board. Would you want to train your people to take over this industry, or you want experts to come in and be working in industry, or you want your raw materials to continue to go out of country without scaling your people? And I believe that if you look at what His Excellency, the Vice President, talked about, I can talk about what I know. He was bold about his focus on technical and vocational education in the next 4 years. So I'm optimistic that this is sustainable, and this is the best way we can also keep our economy going.
Before we talk about the launch of the Ghana Apprenticeship program, which actually is happening today, right?
Yes.
So long term, in this first phase, how long will it take to fully execute this very first phase? How long will it take?
We're expecting that by 2026, we should have completed the implementation. And we also want to count the jobs 6 months after the first phase implementation. And a lot of lessons that will be learned also be used to be able to improve on the Ghana Apprenticeship Program, that we expect that it becomes a household name in Ghana, that if I don't go to grammar or even go through the mainstream education, there's always opportunity for me to be skilled through the Ghana Apprenticeship Program.
I see. And let's talk about the launch of the program today. What can we expect? I know of some prominent people who are showing up. Walk us through that.
Yeah, so it's not going to be much talk. It's more of action than talk, because now the Ghana Apprenticeship, we have the digital system in place to manage the funding. We already have close to 10,000 beneficiaries that have already enrolled to be part of the training. So today we are putting it to the world what we have been doing on the quiet side, that we need to let it come out for more people to take advantage of it, and also to call for collaboration between the public sector and the private sector, because whatever government is doing is to create the enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. So today we are putting it out there, the opportunities that young ones in the country and everybody that is willing to get some skills to be able to take advantage of this program. So it's just going to be a short ceremony. It's happening at the Wesley Towers in Accra here. It's starting from 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we are done.
Interesting stuff. Any final words, Doc?
All that I want to say to the country is that on the quiet, government has been doing so much for TVET that has never happened in this country. There are a lot of countries that are looking at as an example in Africa, and I believe that we will have to continue to work together, both the private sector and the public sector will have to work together. We can never succeed without collaboration, and we are hoping that we will continue to collaborate as a nation and support the industry. All these that government is doing, the end beneficiary is going to be the industry, and we hope that the industry will in turn support the government to be able to support them to succeed. It's about egg and chicken situation, and if we can invest in the human capital or human resource of the country, there's nothing we cannot do as a nation. And I'm optimistic that where we have started from, what we have done in the past 7 years, is a good reason for us to build on to change the plight of our young ones.
Well, thank you very much, Doc, for joining the conversation. It's all about the Ghana Apprenticeship Program, and who joined us, the Director General of the CTVET, Dr. Fred Che Asamoah. We'll see. We'll follow you with our prayers, but we'll back you with our prayers, and we'll see how things go in that regard. We're just hoping that this will actually stay strong and be implemented properly, so that the end game, those who are supposed to benefit, will benefit. Thank you for coming, Doc.
Thank you, Ben, for having me.
Great. Well, stay with us on the AM show. There's a lot more coming up soon. We'll be right back.
Welcome back on the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi. Fantastic work by Benjamin Akapo so far. And it's time now for us to talk about the National Commission on Civic Education and their activities. I'm joined in the studio by Madam Kathleen Addy. And I must say, Madam Kathleen, that you have great press. I was doing some research on the NCC and I saw that you have very great press. Was it intentional?
I do my best.
Yeah.
I do my best. Thank you.
Okay. And we are in election year, of course. The NCC has been doing a number of activities, awareness trainings and all that. What's the latest on your table?
Right.
Leading up to the election 2024.
Thank you very much. Like you said, election 24 is a big deal. For our commission, which is an independent governance institution, one of the key things that we are constantly reminded of, is our mandate,
right,
which is to ensure that Ghanaians know and accept the Constitution and commit to defend the Constitution. And secondly, for Ghanaians to continue to support democracy as the form of government that we as a people have decided to live by.
Right.
And as part of that mandate, we undertake election education every election year. And this year is no different. We have a really wide range of programs that we will be looking at. We are looking at issues to do with the current things that have emerged the negatives in our political culture.
Right.
Money in politics, fake news and disinformation, intentional disinformation and misinformation, with the potential to really incite people to create problems. We are looking at issues around religious tolerance, which has never been an issue for us for elections in the past, but because of the current circumstances, it's an issue. We want people to understand that when politicians come to you and say, vote for me because I have the same religion as you, or don't vote for me because I don't have the same, don't vote for this person because their religions are, you must know that the person does not have your interest at heart. We are asking people to ignore those who come and request votes on the basis of ethnic affiliation, on the basis of religion, on the basis of I'm giving you more money than this person. All these things do not augur well for the democracy in the long run. Yeah. It may serve some kind of interest today, but in the long run, it does not augur well for us as a people. And so those are the things that we are talking about this year. We are focusing heavily on young people. We have programs for young people in school, young people out of school. Okay. And as you know, our institution is heavily decentralized. We are in every region. We have a regional office, and we are in every district where the real education happens. Yeah. It's not a headquarters or Accra-based institution. And outside of Accra, really, we don't even speak English. We do the education in the local language for people to understand.
Grassroots connection.
Yes, this is a grassroots organization. Yeah. So really, truly, this is going to be a very, very busy year for us. And we are rolling out all of these activities, some in school for young, some out of school, in communities, associations, professional bodies, places of worship, lorry parks, markets. Those are the places that you find us on a daily. You find the staff of NCC on a daily basis doing the work that they need to do.
Right. On the issue of engagement with grassroots, I think that's where the compact initiative comes in. But let me bring in Professor John Asafo-Ajayi, who is a senior fellow at ASSET, that is the African Center for Economic Transformation, and he's joining us via phone. Good morning, Doctor and Professor, and welcome to the conversation. Doc, if you can hear me, it's a pleasure to have you join us for this conversation.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. All right, so I would just welcome you to join the conversation while we kickstart on the Ghana Compact initiative, which is for political and economic transformation. So exactly what is Compact? Is it the same as the European version? We have the Comprehensive Plan for Administrative Capacity Building. Is that the same thing? So what is the Ghana Compact? Prof, do you want to take that up for us?
So the Ghana Compact is a new initiative brought about by ASSET and its partner organizations, including the NCC and 7 other policy think tanks in Ghana. And it's to seek a consensus and a vision for Ghana for the next 25 years. So that's what it seeks to achieve.
Did you say 7 other think tanks? Which one? I'm sure Imani Africa is in there.
Yeah, so let me mention a few of them.
Yeah.
So we have Imani Africa, we have CDD Ghana, Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISET, which is based at the University of Ghana. We have the Institute of Physical Studies, which is based here in Accra. We have Afro-Parameter. We have the Network of Women's Rights, NetRights. And so those are just a few of the people that we're working with. And it's really to shape a vision for Ghana for the next 25 years. So
the next what? 25 years. Okay.
Yes. So, January 1st, 2025 marks the next quarter of a century, right? We've already completed a quarter of a century, and we're going to start a new quarter of a century on 1st January 2025. So the compact is a vision for Ghana to achieve our potential. If you look back at the past 67 years, I think you would agree with me that Ghana has not reached its potential. There has been some growth in the past, but this growth has not been inclusive and it has not been sustainable. The reason being that the growth has been driven by a reliance on the export of primary and processed commodities like cocoa, gold, and it has not created the jobs that we want. So unemployment is very high, especially among the youth. It's even higher for women. The youth represent more than 50% of the population. So they are really the future of the country. And they cannot find any good job. We've made some progress in the last 30 years in terms of the political dispensation. We've had a stable democracy. So you would agree with me, and in fact, the latest research by Afrobarometer shows that the majority of Ghanaians, 87%, think that the country is on the wrong path. You know, since independence, we've been to the IMF 17 times, which means there's something wrong with the way we manage our fiscal affairs. And so there's a need for Ghanaians to come together. And then I want to say Ghanaians, all stakeholders, so political parties, ordinary citizens. We want to bring everyone together, including the leaders of the parties, to agree on the way forward for Ghana. So that's really what the compact is about.
Right. So the African Center for Economic Transformation, together with these 7 other think tanks, are collaborating with you, the NCCE, for a series of engagements with constituents. What's the vision or the intention behind these engagements?
Right. So
no, Prof, please hold for me for a second. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So as Prof has rightfully indicated, these institutions have come together to try and craft a vision for the country for the next 25 years. This is a very noble and progressive and highly proactive, program that they have undertaken,
right,
which we as NCC are collaborating with them because we share the vision of the compact in terms of what are the values that as a country we want to, which values do we want to become part of us? How do we want to live our lives? How do we want our democracy to look like? How do we want citizens' engagement to look like? So as part of that, we are working with ACET and the compact to bring the vision of the compact to Ghanaians everywhere they may be.
Okay.
So we are doing a series of engagements and getting also to get people's opinions and points of view on board, because as you know, the compact looks at various things, looks at political, socio-economic elements of our existence, and we want people to help us deepen the vision, craft the vision of what all of these things should look like in the next 25 years.
Right.
Because as a country, when you have a country, all the different people, all the different subsects, everybody has the role to play in a country, in a democracy. So as citizens, what is our role? And part of our role is ensuring that our voice is added to things like this to ensure that it reflects our true vision as a people. So we will go to all of these places and we'll engage people, different categories of people. We have students, we have people who work in the markets, we have trade associations, professional groups. We'll be engaging traditional authority, religious groups and all of that, simply because we want to make sure that the vision that we come up with in the compact is something that reflects, it's a true reflection of the desires of Ghanaians.
Okay, so you're looking for the opinions, recommendations,
Yes.
views of Ghanaians during these engagements,
Yes.
and on issues that are addressed in these technical papers, produced by Compact and its
Yes.
associated think tanks. What exactly are these issues? I mean, you've talked about economic, socio-economic, political, but what specific issues would you be engaging them on?
It's not very specific. Okay. It's about what would you like to see.
Okay.
So when you take
the governance?
In everything.
Right.
So when you take the politics, right, what would you like to see? What kind of political culture do you think where should we be aspiring to as far as the evolving political culture is concerned? How do we want to practice our politics? What kind of economy do we want to have? Prof has mentioned that to date we have an economy that is based on primary products, exports of raw agricultural products and,
right,
and other resources. Is that the economy that we want to have in the next 25 years? Do we have an economy that is based on production and not just exports? But we want everybody's vision everybody's opinion to be reflected in the vision. So as we go around with these engagements, so that's the primary objective. We want to get everybody's opinion too. But secondly, we want people to start thinking about Ghana beyond just, the problems that we face on a daily basis. Because as citizens, our role in ensuring that our country grows, that our country thrives, that our country makes progress in the direction that we want, a lot of that depends on us. We have to do what needs to be done from the citizens' perspective to ensure that we are able to even hold leadership accountable properly if we have done our part. So part of this whole thing is to ensure that people begin to reflect on their citizenship as Ghanaians. What does it mean for me to be a citizen? And we are hoping that in doing this engagement, we will trigger that as well, that people will begin to reflect on what their citizenship means for all of us as Ghanaians. Okay. What does it mean to be a citizen of Ghana? What does it mean to be a member of my district, my community? What am I doing to ensure that I'm holding leaders accountable in my community, in my local government, in my country? How am I doing all of these things? So we hope that that will trigger a renewed interest in governance, in the way our economy is developing, in the social sector, in everything. So those are the things that we'll be doing with the public engagement. Okay. But primarily, we will be taking on the opinions and adding it to every opinion that we've collected already to ensure that people's views are adequately reflected in the final document.
Before I go back to Doc, the aspect of education and engagement falls within your mandate as NCCE. Absolutely. But how different is this planning and policy, coordination from what the NDPC is supposed to be doing? How different are the roles?
Okay, I think Prof will answer that.
Okay, yes. Prof, if you're still with us, how different is this from the role of the NDPC?
Yes, so I forgot to mention that NDPC is also one of our partners. Okay. And we've already worked with them in terms of how we can strengthen them as an organization and how they can become more effective in helping solve the problems that we've identified in the compact. So they are one of our partners. Now, some of the work that we're doing with NDPC to make them more effective involves constitutional reform. So part of the compact is also looking at what constitutional reforms can be undertaken to help Ghana achieve the vision that we want to achieve in the next 25 years. So we are very much complementary to them, and we are working with them. So it's not a duplication of their work. Because, what we've done with the 7 policy institutes is to do technical analysis on the issues of education, skills, employment, issues of planning, issues of fiscal responsibility. We've even considered climate change, as well as gender equality and private sector development. And so that's all part of the vision that we have for the country. And as Kathy said, what we are doing now is to get the citizens' voice, capture the citizens' voices and things about this vision.
Right. So before the actual engagements begin, you're going to be training some regional directors
of the NCC, which we have done already.
You've done that
already?
Yes,
the rollout has started already. So we are training them to understand the objectives of the compact and to understand what we're actually supposed to do. NCC is a heavily decentralized organization. It's not Accra-based. It's very grassroots-based. We have offices in every region. We have offices in every district. And in the district, our staff we get people who speak the language of the district, as I mentioned before. So what we are doing is that we are working with with ACET and the compact to mobilize all of these groups, so that when we get to a community and we engage in, the people we are engaging are a reflection of the people who live in that community. Okay. And that's why I mentioned that we will be engaging all these categories of people to ensure that we are actually able to capture the points of view of Ghanaians across board, wherever we find them. So that is what we are planning to do. And it's actually very important that NCC is part of this because of our reach and our spread and the nationwide coverage that we are able to offer. We are a natural partner for the compact and ACET. But beyond that, the vision of the compact aligns with the vision of NCC as well. As far as where, to the point that we are trying to promote certain values for our society, not just for today, but ensure that society continues to grow and thrive well into the future. There are values that we need to continue to promote, and the compact and what it's trying to achieve is aligned to those values. So it's not just about us just mobilizing, but it gives us an opportunity to also remind citizens about the values that as a country we have come to accept as values that we want to promote, values that should be central to our existence as Ghanaians. Right. So it's all well aligned with the compact.
So in essence, your role is within reaching out to the citizens because of your mandate as National Commission on Civic Education. But Prof, let me ask, how do you intend to get the political class to, climb aboard and join to promote this agenda for the compact initiative?
Right. So we've already started engaging the political parties. So we have had a series of sessions with the NDC Manifesto Committee, basically sharing with them the findings from all these technical studies. And we're going to have the same with the MPP. So, as you know, the MPP recently elected their flag bearer. And they've just organized the manifesto team, or they're organizing the team. And so they're coming with, we hope to meet with them as well. And what we're planning to do after these initial meetings with the manifesto team is we're also planning to have inter-party dialogue with the major parties as well as the minor parties, again, to share with them the ideas of the compact. And it is our hope that they will incorporate some of these ideas in their manifestos. And then when this is all over, I don't know whether Kadi has mentioned this, but after the citizens' engagement are over, we're going to have a citizens' convention here in Accra around 18th, 19th June, where we'll bring all the stakeholders together. So we're talking about the political parties, the citizens, the labor unions, young people, religious leaders, the chiefs, cross-sectional people together, again, to agree on what we're calling a social contract between the people and the government. And the intention is that, regardless of who takes power in 1st January 2025, they would have committed to do the things that the citizens say want done. So that's the overall goal of these activities.
Okay, so based on the conversation that you've had with them so far, would you say you're making steady progress, or how is it going?
Yeah, very good. So, as I said, the NDC basically agreed with most of the things that we put forward. And in fact, they actually requested a further meeting to share some more ideas, to share with more ideas. So it's been very positive so far.
Right. What's next then for the compact agenda, Prof? I'm still with you.
Yes. So the next is what Kathy has mentioned, which is the citizen engagement. And then after that, we're going to have the Citizens Convention in June 18th and 19th. And then after the Citizens Convention, the plan is to present what we call the social contract or the planner compact to the flag bearers on June 27th at an event hosted by Otufo as well as the chiefs in Kumasi. And the intention is that we want to get the flag bearers to be on board and then for them to basically endorse the social contract.
Right. But Madam Kadi, let me come back to you. As the facility, the organization facilitating this compact, how are you going to evaluate the progress you've made so far? Or when would you know if you've achieved your targets?
Well, I mean, it's not the citizen engagement is not the end, as Prof has said, it's not the end of the compact process. Beyond that, we have other activities for this year. But outside of all of that, we need to, in 2025, we need to be sure that what we set out to do, which is to have this compact that everybody buys into in terms of defining a vision for Ghana for the next 25 years, is a true reflection of the will of the people. And so that's, broadly speaking, that will be how we know that, we have achieved our objectives.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you want the citizens to come out and support this agenda so you can gain your targets. So what will be your message to those watching you right now?
Oh, well, I mean, today we are having this engagement. Thankfully, this is a platform that reaches out to millions of Ghanaians. Hopefully today we've built some awareness around the Ghana Compact. so that if you are part of an association or a group and they ask for representatives to come and engage with others to talk about the compact, talk about the vision of Ghana for the future, you will know exactly what we're talking about, and you will feel compelled to come and be part of the process and part of it. Beyond that, I mean, I can't be on a platform and not talk about NCC and our message for this election.
I was going to ask that. It looks like you've taken a little of a hiatus, you know, silence.
How will you say that? Even on Joy FM, I come here often.
Okay.
I'm on radio stations all the time.
All right.
Our staff are out there in the field. That's not fair.
Okay.
Yes. Because, you know, I always say that the NCC staff are some of the most hardworking staff in the public sector. They work under really difficult circumstances, but they are able to do a lot in spite of all of that. So they've been working. We've been working. The message really is that this election, let's change things. Let's change things around a bit. When people come to you and ask you to vote for them on the basis of common religion, or come and say that this person is not our religion or this person is our religion, so let's vote in that direction. When people come to you and say that vote on the basis of ethnic affiliation, when people come and say that vote because we're giving you more things and more money than the other person, you should know that these people don't have your interest at heart. People should come and tell us what it is that they can do for us. To come and prove that they have the capability, that they have the capacity, that they have maybe even track record to show that we are able to deliver this and that for you.
But are you engaging the political parties directly?
We always engage political parties.
Are you in the process of doing those
We engage political parties all the time. And we even both in public and in private, some on screen, some off screen, but we definitely engage the political parties. But they have a role to play. But I feel like sometimes we feel as citizens that we don't have agency, that we don't have the power to change things. That's not true. And that is one of the key things that's missing from the governance and the political culture. Citizens feeling that it's really not about us at all. It's always about politics. It's not true. It is not true. Politicians are rational. They will deliver the behavior and the attitude that we continue to reward. If we change the criteria for the people we elect, we will get different outcomes. But if you want to elect people based on, for instance, money that they've brought to you, once the election is done, how are you expecting other things?
How long will that money even last?
It's not for you. You must understand that the money came from somewhere. It has to go back to where it came from. That alone may compromise your economic development. Secondly, you have to understand that it is a threat to our existence as a country, because there's a lot of bad money in the world. There's money from drugs. There's money from terrorism. If somebody goes to bring that money and uses that to win an election, basically our country is sold. So we have to think about this money thing more carefully, understand the broader implications of this high monetization of the political culture. It's very, very dangerous. Hopefully we get to a point where we are able to see these things and make these assessments and hold our political leaders to account properly. Not to say that we are waiting for you to give us money so that we will vote for you. It's not healthy.
Right.
It's not healthy for them. It's not healthy for us. It's not healthy for our potential as a country. We will not achieve it if we keep going in that direction.
I guess we are, in a way, relying on you to empower us with the right education and
it's a shared responsibility.
Yeah, but
you're relying on us.
That's
we certainly do, but without a platform like yours, for instance. Right. I mean, if I have to pay some rates to come and sit here in the morning, we can't afford it.
Right.
So a partnership, we do partnerships with a whole range of institutions, including ACET. What ACET is doing, I told you, is aligned. What the compact represents is aligned to our own vision as a commission. Okay. It should be aligned to your corporate social responsibility as a media house. You should be able to say, come for half an hour free airtime once a week.
Do you have enough resources to embark on all the initiatives that you need to do for this year's election?
We will always do our best with whatever we have. We don't have enough. Let me put that on the record, but we will do our best with what we have. And also we will rely on our partners, like I was saying, hopefully to come on board and augment some of these things for us.
Right, thank you. Prof, if you're still with me, any final words before we wrap this up?
Yes. So what I would like to say to your viewers is that in addition to the citizen engagement, we will be engaging them on social media, in the print media, as well as on radio and TV in the coming months. So we would like them to look out for these activities, and we would like them to join in, and we would like to hear their voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor John Asafo Ajayi is the Senior Fellow at ACET, African Center for Economic Transformation, and he's tasked with leading research work under the Economic Management and Governance Program. And Madam Kathleen Adi, who is no stranger, is the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education and former deputy chair in charge of finance and administration of the commission. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Real pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Have a lovely day.
You too.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that's not all. There's more coming up. We've got a conversation on... we'll be right back, please. Thank you for staying with us. I was just checking to be sure that we are ready for you for Citizens Microphone today. Now, we told you earlier that doctors at the Komfo Teaching Hospital say they will be embarking on an indefinite strike over what leadership describes as harassment and persistent orders to move out of their Danyame residences in Kumasi. Nana Boache is live now, and we know that Joy News, we are reliably informed that many of the doctors have received notices asking them to move out of the official bungalows because they have been sold out. So Nanaya Abachi, if you can hear me, what's the situation on ground and what are the citizens saying?
An indefinite strike over what the doctors claim to be a forceful ejection from their accommodation around the Denyame enclave here in the Ashanti region. Well, the strike action begins today. We would be looking at how the strike would be biting hard on patients who are in at the Komfo Teaching Hospital to seek medical attention. Would also be engaging the management of the hospital. But before then, we have with me the president of the Komfo Teaching Hospital Doctors Association, Dr. Michael Leet. Yesterday, in our engagement, he made mention of their reasons for embarking on this strike. He says that it is due to the forceful ejection. Notice was not really given to them, and this has been going on for quite some time. A private developer, we are told, has access to the land right now, making a forceful attempt to eject the doctors from their accommodation. So we have with me Dr. Michael Leet. Doc, your strike begins today. Someone would say, what are your concerns?
Okay. We didn't say we are on strike. We just wrote, we notified management that we are going to look for accommodation units. That's what we are saying. We are not on strike. If you look at our letter, it said we were informing management that since we are being evicted from our accommodation units, we want to go out and look for accommodation.
You are not on strike, but you are not coming to work. You are going to look for accommodation. That's definitely what we would put in a strike.
No, we didn't say on strike. You see, you inform your managers, your central management. I just can't leave, so I'm going to look for accommodation. That's what we're saying.
So in your to look for accommodation, you're not coming to work today?
I'm in Komfo. I'm seeing the inpatient, but we are not receiving any outpatient. That's all. The patients within the hospital are being seen. The old ones are being seen, but we are not going to take on any other patient, any new patient onto into the hospital.
But then, what are your concerns mainly? Is it just about the accommodation, or there's something to it?
No, it's just about the accommodation. I mean, you're supposed to provide that an alternative. We move in before you finish whatever you are building, but you are there and somebody just come into your room. I bought the land, so you need to be evicted. Some have had their power sources cut off. Some have had their water sources cut off. So, and these are not just mere doctors. These are leaders of the hospital. You have the neurosurgeon, Dr. Frank Ketiabuachi is here, who is a neurosurgeon, is affected. You have Paukwesi Bedu, the HOD of the Trauma and Orthopedic Directorate, another heads of department, the cardiothoracic surgeon. Those are the caliber of people who stay in this accommodation unit. So it's fair that even with the rent control, you don't just give somebody one week notice to evict. You give about six months or six. I mean, there's a period for you to give the person to prepare and leave the accommodation. So we are not on strike. We need a place to sleep. And if you're a victim, I don't think I have the peace of mind to come and see any patient. It's that simple. So today we are going to meet management and other stakeholders and some of the private developers to come out with an amicable solution to this one.
Even before your engagement with management and the developers, the regional minister says there is nothing, a forceful eviction.
I think I said it yesterday and I want to repeat. I don't report to the regional minister. I've not heard what he said. If you continue to say what you want to say, we are going to see the management. So thank you.
All right, and that is Dr. Michael Leeds. He is the president of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital Doctors Association. He says that they are not on strike, but they are not receiving outpatient. They would only be attending to inpatient just to seek accommodation. So if they are being evicted from their accommodation at the Denyame Enclave, then they would also not be here at the hospital. They would only be seeking accommodation or looking for accommodation elsewhere. We are currently at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. We've been told that the Doctors Association, the president himself and other executive members of the Doctors Association will be meeting management of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital to come at an amicable solution to this impasse as to whether or not they would continue to boycott their work today or not. The Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital PRO Kwame Frimpong, who is not here with me, I spoke to him earlier, says that the management is looking at concluding the meeting today, which would definitely bring a stop to this strike action. Well, Dr. Michael Leith says he's not reporting to the regional minister, who earlier stated that there is nothing like a forceful eviction. The regional minister yesterday told Joy News that there is a building which is at the Denyame Enclave, which is to be completed in 2 years' time. It started last year. It should be completed this year.
That's Nana Boachi Yadom at Denyame. You should excuse me, please. But we'll go back to him briefly for more reactions from the citizens. In the meantime, welcome back. So Nana Boachi Yadom is back with some patients at the hospital. Let's get back to him now. Nana Boachi Yadom, if you can hear me, what are the patients saying?
Was made here at the OPD center of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital that the doctors are on strike and so patients would have to be rescheduled. This is the OPD center. You can see that some patients are still seated here waiting to hear from their doctors, which we are told is not going to happen because the doctors are on strike. They would not also want to leave because some of them are in some serious conditions and would want to seek medical attention. But then we have some patients here would be speaking to. They have been here since morning, and when the announcement came in that the doctors are on strike, they've been stranded, sitting here for quite some time, hoping that at least one doctor could come out to attend to them. But for about 30 minutes now, there have not been any resolution whatsoever. And so at the OPD center, some patients seated here, stranded, waiting for some doctors, if possible, to come and listen to their concerns. But we have been told that that is not going to be possible. I have this gentleman here with me. What time be?
About 6 o'clock.
About 6 o'clock. Mobile no, no makachemo.
By the kind at the card cotonin himself doctors beba by it's one around by 7:38 and the nurses now because the doctors call strike into a more reschedule our date near day by review no amaye into the free next month 10th April say and on a yensa review.
Demo data was some bana akoshe 10th April semombra almost say omo issue nyana say
I'm say doctors no strike concern baby omo tie tu omo and na omo de call strike no sana omo yate no.
Okay, so he is saying that he came here around 6 a.m. When he came at 6 a.m., an announcement was made that the doctors are on strike due to the forceful ejection from their hospital accommodation. He says that he came in with his wife, who is not really feeling well. They came to seek medical attention, but then the doctors are not in the hospital at the moment due to the strike. But let's speak to the patient herself. Mepacho, me who say online na eye wo ya kakra 10th April near Sebra ubitimi anya hoden atwen 10th April no
ana mentimi hu de say ye bekọ be fofora na say ye betwen de a me mentimi hu je say me kuno
Say undro ne oniema wo hia nyina no e wo ho a e betimi sustain one.
Asankola.
Undro nyina asa.
To say menim say be kwa koto bio say ye betwen yo ene de mentimi.
And then omo say bra review.
Pachan.
And now buy and so omo say omo ko strike.
Pachan.
It is say no e den amo be.
Ene de menim de meye de.
Well, she is the patient herself. She says that she doesn't know if she would be able to stay strong up until the 10th of April, which we have been told that she's been told to come back to the hospital. But mobile score private hospital and I say mobile 10th April no.
Yeah, you can't call it me refer near the emergency. And you say if you are make quite now my coma among the stage of it. Ebi ano mo and no be on prescribe am ya ne akoto because say oni aduro ba akokra onom ntimi so mentimi emmo ma adwemu ma na aduro nti ye say den ya me pe doctor bi na me hunu na ochoro no bi ma me na me de ma no na kopim da omo time ne be so no ya san ba.
Well, they are saying that they would have to go to a different hospital. Looking at her condition is not really good. She really needs medical attention. She has no drugs, and so they have to go to a different hospital for a different doctor to prescribe drugs for her. You can see that she has a wound on her leg, and she really needs critical medical attention. But then we are still here at the OPD center of the Komfo Teaching Hospital. The strike is biting hard on patients who are in to seek medical attention. We've been told that the doctors would not be available today due to the strike, and some of the patients are stranded. Some of them would have to go to a private hospital. The nurse here is also speaking to a patient to go to a different hospital because the doctors are not available at the moment. So, sweetie, the condition here at the Komfo Teaching Hospital is, and patients are very, very much stranded. Eja, me pacho, oba ha time be?
Ba how much? 5.
Okay. Na oba how much 5 no? Doctors for ebi abehwe wa na say obi no aka bibi.
Obi ama doctor bi ama. No answer date no bi ama e.
Oma reschedule won so.
What's it?
Omo de wako shada foforo.
Da foforo.
Omo se brother be.
Na otwimi no.
2 weeks time. Na watwimi no obetimi anya ahoden atwen na watwimi no.
Enye se ne nyame no na be kire. Se baby a ide wo mu na ehwe me baby a yare no this wo mu a. This wo mu a surgery na so mo ye me.
What's some year with surgery, but to see your money or more strike in the what's our cobana watching me,
no, because almost shame in there, and a mamma too almost so until your mum now watching me, next for an
announcement on my mind, or more can say
almost obia magic date and a dance will be our dower deba. Until you know, our mamma will be a date at the court, so on coffee. Date no so that's oba that's o ma ba there near show.
And you know obeko private hospital and say no obetwen o mo aso beba
metwen o mo kosi metwen date na de amame no kosi.
All right, so he is also coming for a surgery, but when he got here, he's been told that the doctors are on strike. A very a sad one, because somebody coming in for surgery and being asked to go back, you definitely know how hard it is going to be for him. But then some of the patients are still here, hoping that any doctor could come around to listen to their concerns, but we've been told that is not happening. They are packing the chairs. You can see the nurse that's packing the chairs back into the offices, which is to say that there's not going to be work today, and so everybody should move out of the OPD center here at the Komfo Teaching Hospital. But then some stranded patients are still seated here. They do not want to leave. Majority of them who are in critical conditions would want to stay here and definitely, or if possible, hear from any doctor who would be coming in to listen to their concerns. And so, sweetie, this is the situation here at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. The first day of the strike by the Komfo Anokye Doctors Association over what leadership describe as forceful ejection from their hospital accommodation. This thing has been going on for about 2 years now, but then it has gotten out of hands, which has led to the ongoing strike by the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital Doctors Association. Dr. Michael Leeds, who is the president, has said that they are not coming up until they do hear something from government. Right now, management of the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital and the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital Doctors Association are in a crunch meeting to determine whether or not they would continue their strike or they would resume. But then we have been told that they are receiving inpatients to at least compensate the hospital for coming in or hearing some parts of their concerns. But outpatients would not be allowed to have any meeting whatsoever with the doctors. So the situation here at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. Over to you, sweetie.
Thank you, Nana Boachi Adam, for painting a clearer picture of the situation there. And you do not want to be in the shoes of these outpatients sitting there not knowing what's going to happen, what their next step is, and having come to a hospital to seek medical attention. That is the plight of the citizens today at Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital. And so we await to see what the doctor's next move will be, and we'll keep you up to speed on that. Right now, we'll take a break, and when we return, the small.